Hey, it's Dave Wyman. Time for Football 101. Seahawks end up getting a victory, tight one, lots of ups and downs in that game against the Minnesota Vikings. But I want to talk about defense, and I know a lot of people are going to say, okay, you got the last ranked defense. They gave up lots of yards. They gave up 200 yards rushing. But there's some good things to like, okay? And I want to point something out. This guy right here, Benson, Mayowa, number 95. Think about it. This defense is a big play defense. They give up lots of yards, but they survived that way last year. I talked about this last week that they were number three in takeaways with 32. And they gave up lots of yards, but it allowed them to win 12 games, however you want to look at it. This year they're number 2 in takeaways. They have 8, and then they've just made big plays. And the guy, the king of the big plays, to me is Benson Mayowa. And we're going to go through, 3 of the last 4 plays, if you don't count the ones at the end of the game, where Benson Mayowa directly affects and makes big plays. And think about this. In the Atlanta game, they had 4 fourth down stops. He had a knockdown pass, and he had a sack on 4th down. He was there when Jaron Reed hit Dak Prescott's hand and there was a fumble. He picked that up. And then last week against Miami, the 2 interceptions were directly because of him. First of all, because he tipped the ball out of Fitzpatrick's hands, and then Ryan Neal gets the interception. But then also he had to hurry and kind of change the throwing motion of Fitzpatrick. He couldn't entirely cock his arm. And Shaquille Griffin, and because of his pass rush, Shaquille Griffin gets an interception. And he certainly worked hard, both those guys, for those turnovers, but still, he's affecting them. And then he comes up huge at the end of this game, and we'll talk about this. This is a non-play right here. We won't look at this on video, but I want to talk about not so much scheme and everything today, but I want to talk about effort and physicality. And when you're physical, coaches will tell you good things happen. Cody Barton's name is going to come up a little bit. I know people think maybe he's a little clunky and maybe he's not looking as smooth. I say this, when you're playing next to Bobby and KJ, those guys are so smooth the way they move around the field. It might look that way, but this kid is physical, Cody Barton. Here's what happened, and this is a non-play because it ends up being a holding penalty on Benson Mayowa. He draws a holding penalty. And the reason why is because he is so good at just throwing his body around and redirecting. And we'll get to a couple of these plays, but first of all, this was, again, non-play and ends up being a penalty. But here's what happens. The fullback comes over here in motion, and their tight end, Quentin Dunbar's supposed to be the outside guy that turns everything back in. He gets hooked right there. So Cody, and this is just like a blast that they're running here, and just a handoff right behind him. So what Cody does, because he gets washed down inside, he goes around him, and then he comes up and meets the fullback right here and just powders him, as Rabel likes to say, smoked him. And what happened was he didn't make the tackle, but the fullback's feet went up in the air and end up tripping the running back. Now, he stumbles forward, and he gets pretty near the first down marker, and Bobby touches him down. So if that wasn't a holding penalty, it might have been, ruled short. But still, again, when you are physical, good things happen. And he comes up and just blasts this fullback. Doesn't make the tackle, but the fullback ends up making the tackle by tripping his own running back because he got knocked on his rear end. So just awesome play by him. Then 2 plays later, Benson Mayowa and Demontre Moore, I want to mention too, come up huge on this play. So here's what happens. They're lined up in this formation. There's a receiver out here who's not part of the play, but they run a little kind of fly sweep action to Adam Thielen. So it's a little bit of a misdirection here, trying to get people to go this way. And then Cousins backs up and he pitches the ball forward to Adam Thielen. So both Quandre Diggs and Ryan Neal, they work outside and they do a pretty good job of intersecting this, but they don't make the tackle here. And Thielen spins out of it, and now he's heading for a first down. Okay, well, on this play, first of all, Demontre Moore, who ends up just crushing Thielen, he's all the way over here. And then the play starts, and there's a bunch of trash and garbage to run through. He sifts through it, and he gets out here. Mayowa goes down inside. He kind of bites on this. He turns around, he comes back, and then he also comes to this intersection right here. And if they don't hit Adam Thielen, it's a first down and game over. So they are able to stop him probably 18 inches short. And we'll go through this one on film because it's amazing what Benson Mayowa, just the effort and the physicality. Little note here. Demontre Moore hits Adam Thielen right in the head with his head. And if this happens in the middle of the field, it's probably a penalty, and Demontre Moore probably gets kicked out of the game, which to me I find incredibly hypocritical. But the only way, you can't make a hawk tackle here. And the hawk tackle thing is something Pete's invented where, you kind of go to the backside of the guy and tackle him. He's going to fall forward. So you have to put your head down, and whether you like it or not, some people don't like, some people, football's not for you, but the physicality of it, that dictates that you have to get your head across. And the only reason why they did not lose this game is because Demontre Moore did this along with Benson Mayowa. So there he is, part of that play, and we'll look at that on film. Now let's go to the fourth down. Again, we'll talk about physicality again because this is just a blast play. And I know in Minnesota they were saying that the running back should have cut it outside. I don't think so. And also, if he wouldn't have picked it up, they would say, look, why are you running laterally rather than just straight ahead? But this is just as physical as it gets. And the first thing you see here is that Mayowa is kind of a little bit inside. And so when he takes this blocker on, he kind of has to fight back across because all these gaps are taken. There's nowhere to go. And then the fullback is coming hunting for Cody Barton. So, but what Mayowa does is he gets off the snap, great, and then he just kind of throws his body back into the play. And then the other thing is Cody Barton comes up and again, just smokes this fullback. So now there's like a very thin little lane for him to run. And the whole thing is because of effort and physicality. And that's kind of the theme of our Football 101. Bobby Wagner ends up coming over and, that's not a very good 5 there. He comes over and kind of seals the deal right there. But really what it is Benson Mayowa and Cody Barton fighting their tails off for every last little blade of grass on that field. Let's take a look at it on film. All right, let's take a look at this play that was a couple plays after the first one I described to you, where just a hustle play by Demontre Moore and number 95, Benson Mayowa. Here's where Demontre Moore is lined up. He's all the way over. This play ends up all the way over here. So, and also Benson Mayowa, he comes in and you'll see the sort of the route that he takes. But what they're going to end up doing is bringing Thielen in motion here, and he is going to take a little kind of a shovel pass right there. Here you can see the play develop, and again, Demontre Moore all the way over here. This is Benson Mayowa, so he kind of bites on the fake, and then you can see him turning and running here. But right now it's not looking too good because you do have Diggs over here, and Ryan Neal, and they're maybe able to force it back in so he doesn't get to the outside. But right now it's not looking too good as far as any feel from here. And so you need somebody like Benson Mayowa or more to hustle over there. And right here you can see where, as I mentioned, Neal and Diggs both right here, they turn it back in, but they don't make the tackle, and Thielen ends up slipping out of it. There's the first down marker right there. And here comes Demontre Moore and Benson Mayowa. Just great hustle. And also just notice how they get right down the line. They don't, loop it one way or the other. They're just straight right down the line. And then right here, just an awesome shot you can see. And I mentioned this, Demontre Moore had to put his head down in order to get it across and turn Thielen back in. There's Mayowa right there, and there's Demontre Moore, and they saved the game with this play because where Thielen is right here, he's still upright. He's going to fall forward definitely to that marker right there. And then, of course, that sets up the final play. Well, it wasn't the final play of the game, but the stand here on 4th and 1. And the major players here, in my mind, certainly Bobby, he comes over and seals the whole thing off. But Benson Mayowa, just the effort here. He gets a great get off on this tackle. He's kind of inside and ends up throwing his body back inside. And then Cody just does a great job of taking on the fullback. Here you can see, you know, certainly Cody coming downhill. But right here, you see Mayowa starting to turn his shoulders. And you'll see it a little bit more clearly from the end zone. But you can see that he's trying to fight back across this block right here and be able to get back in the play. Here's the alignment right here, and see again, like I drew up on the chalkboard, the grease board there, Mayowa is inside of this tackle right here, and so he's got an angle on him that's a pretty good one. So if Mayowa wants to get back into that gap where they're running the ball, he's going to have to fight hard. And of course, here's Cody getting ready to come downhill. Here's the snap, and right now, I'm sure Cody's recognizing there's about to be a huge collision in the backfield. You can see how far Mayowa is inside. This guy has him blocked because he has his helmet on that side and Mayowa's there. So he's probably thinking, hey, I got this block and we're going to blast the linebacker and get a first down. And here's the point of contact for Cody right here. And again, he constricts this lane. And again, people in Minnesota were saying that he should have bounced it outside. But whenever it's a goal line or short yardage situation, coaches tell backs, go north and south, not east and west. And then also you can see right here where in the last shot, Mayowa's head was on this side. He got his head all the way back here. And that's just fighting and just effort and him changing direction and getting back in this gap. And here's the final result. And Mayowa has already, flung himself back in the gap. There's Bobby right there to kind of finish off the tackle. And then Cody Barton just bending this fullback in half. So, I mean, again, it ends up being just this tight little lane right here. It's just good, sound football. It's aggressive football. It's physical football. And although this team has given up lots of yards, they've been able to come up huge on critical plays in the games that they've played.
Football 101 is brought to you by Heritage Distilling Company, makers of BSB, Brown Sugar Bourbon.